Would all please rise for the pledge of allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. Ron, would you lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. Row officer reports and comments. Do we have anything? We're looking out in the audience. I'm not seeing any row officers or representatives thereof. Public comments. Do we have any member of the public wishing to make comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to fiscal and contractual. We'll try to move through these repository bids as fast as humanly possible. There's only one rejection, which is number 7, which is Evan Francois for repository property located at Park Avenue, 02-2300 or 02-230700, City of Newcastle. Everything else is accepted. So this first one is in Union Township, bids by Charles Brown for repository property located at Rapson Avenue, 34-112701. Bid amount was $500. Been approved by the Union Township Supervisor. School District did not return requests. We will make this resolution 2022-265. I'll tell you what, we'll run through these until we get to 7, and then we'll just take them in bulk. We'll reject 7 and then get through the rest of them. So I'm going to make a note somewhere. We're starting at 265. Next one is Rebecca Nicholas Simon for repository property located on Rebecca Street. Parcel ID number 060333700, bid amount $500, been accepted by the city and rejected, or I'm sorry, accepted by the city and no response from the school district. That will be 266. Next up, Nicholas Simon, $500 bid for repository property located at Rebecca Street, 06-033600, City of Newcastle, again, accepted by the city, no response from the school district. 267. 268. Nicholas Simon, Rebecca Street, 06-033500 for $500. 269. Repository property from Devin Johnson for repository located at 1701 South Jefferson Street. 08-077000. City of Newcastle, it's $500 bid. And 270 for Citywide Development Corporation, repository property located at East Washington Street, parcel ID number 02-138100. Art, this might be my inexperience here. Are corporations or nonprofit allowed to bid on repository properties, or does it have to be an individual?
No, to the best of my knowledge, they are permitted. To the best of my knowledge.
Okay. I'm fine with Citywide Development Corporation. I mean, those guys will hopefully put it to good use, but I've never seen a corporation bid on one before. All right, unless there's any questions or comments on 265 through 270, I will take a motion to approve all of those.
So moved.
Second. A motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This is our only one that was rejected, 271. Mr. Evans Francois for $250. I'm assuming he's a veteran and is part of that veterans program that we implemented last year that allows that sort of half off discount for repository properties. But regardless, he failed to submit the required paperwork as it relates to purchasing repository properties. And so for that reason, he was rejected by the city. So to that end, what we'll do here is we'll take a motion to approve the bid, and then assuming we follow the city example here, vote it down. So I'll take a motion to approve 271.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel,
No.
Commissioner Vogler,
No.
Commissioner Boyd,
No.
motion fails.
Thank you. And then the last, I believe this is the last one. This is the last one. 272, Lynn Hanna for the classified property located at Brooklyn Avenue, 03-054600, for $500 bid. And on the city accepted the bid, school district did not respond. I'll take a motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We have no advertising for bids or proposals. We have receipt of bids or proposals. We do have a number of warrant registers dated September 9th, September 8th, September 7th, September 6th, and September 2nd. Controller's office is going a little overboard. But I'll take my colleagues a minute to check, probably more than a minute to check those over, and then take a motion to accept and file the warrant registers.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Up next, approval of minutes from Tuesday, September 6th. And again, I'll give my colleagues a minute to check those over, to approve the minutes or make any changes as necessary and expedient.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. We only have one presentation of written communications today. It's an Act 14 notification regarding Mercer Street replacement project. Applicants Columbia Gas. Project description: purpose of the proposed project is to install approximately 9,557 feet of new 2-inch, 4-inch, and 6-inch diameter natural gas pipeline with existing CPA utility and public rights of way in the city of Newcastle, Lawrence County for the purposes of system maintenance and improvement of Columbia Gas, Pennsylvania natural gas pipeline system. Pipeline services will be installed via direct burial. Project will be located along Allen Avenue and several intersected roads. Access to the project will be from existing roadways. Total disturbance for the project will be approximately 1.12 acres. Project area discharges to an unnamed tributary to Neshannock Creek. Project will minimally impact Neshannock Creek as any site construction runoff will flow to upstream unnamed tributaries after traveling over land. A PAGO2 application for the project is being prepared for submission to the Conservation District. So, Dan, this one will be coming before you, I assume, shortly in your capacity as Conservation Director. And on that note, I'll take a motion to accept and file correspondence.
So moved.
Second. The motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Any staff that has anything to report above and beyond what's already on the agenda? Seeing none, commissioner reports and comments. Dan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Boyd. Good morning, everybody. The only thing I wanted to mention today, the three of us periodically receive a magazine called City and State Pennsylvania. And as it implies, it talks about different things going on around the state as it relates primarily to government. And lately, they tend to do a top 100 of different categories. This particular magazine talked about the Labor Power 100. These are folks in the organized labor community throughout the Commonwealth who play a major role in their professions. And I was real pleased to see that number 42 on this list, and Debbie, I'll give you this magazine when I'm done, was a Lawrence County resident. Many of us know him, Howard Thompson. It's very brief. If you don't mind, I'll read it. Howard is the president of Ask Me Council 16. And it says, while newly elected Ask Me Council 13 President Howard Thompson is a road foreman for Neshannock Township, you might say his father paved his path to union leadership. Thompson's father, who I happen to know, do you remember him?
Yes.
Lived out on Pulaski Road.
Yes.
Thompson's father organized Neshannock workers as a member of the Carpenters Union years before Howard Thompson joined Local 2902 as a PennDOT employee. Thompson has since held numerous union leadership positions, serving as president of Ask Me District Council 85, and until recently, vice president of Council 13, which represents 65,000 public and private nonprofit Pennsylvania employees. And I had the pleasure of working with Howard when I was township supervisor out in Neshannock. He's been with the road department out there for many, many years. And he's a good man, and he's well deserving, I think, of this recognition. So congratulations to Howard, and I'm sure his wife's happy for him. But Debbie, I'll give this to you.
I don't mean to speak out of turn, but I don't know if you heard that Marion Nicola passed away.
I did hear that, yes. Yes. Did you know Marion
I did not.
lived right near the township building?
Veteran.
Yeah, nice man. Anyway, I just want to congratulate Howard Thompson. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chairman.
Absolutely. Loretta, the floor is yours.
I don't have much other than I am feeling better and getting back up to par, but glad to be here for today's meeting.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
And I'm good for that.
Okay.
CYS, we have Mike and Lisa with us today. Please keep this quick. These are all renewals. And we'll start with resolution
273.
273.
Thank you, sir.
So 273, 274, thank you. 275, 276, 277, 278. So we're going from 273 to 278, starting with Adelphoi and ending with agreement with Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for data sharing. So if you guys would be able to give us an overview, I don't think we need to go into in-depth on these unless one of my colleagues, requests it. As again, they're all renewals and we've been here before roughly this time last year. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Okay, Adelphi Village, they've been with us for a while, and CYS and JPO shares this. If you can see on the second page, it shows their rates. Most of them 5%. There's a few 11 and 17% JPO shares with the specialized independent living and male intensive JPO.
Any questions, comments? All right.
And then Abraxas, that's the next one, Cornell Abraxas. We share that too with JPO. And it shows on this page, most of them are within reason, 5%. I don't know if you have anything to say.
I think the ones that have a greater increase of a percentage is in essence playing catch up from past years where we may have not increased the per diem at this point in time to catch up with everything the other counties are paying. We are showing a larger increase, but the dollar amount from one county to the next is still the same. So we're paying the same as Allegheny County, et cetera, but Allegheny County's percentage maybe was only 7 or 8 because they've been receiving increases over the last multitude of years. So that's why it looks as though there's a larger increase for us, and it is, except that, we haven't provided increases over the past few years. So we're playing catch up at this point.
HSC.
Payment Services Center, that's local organization, they provide services for juvenile probation for aftercare. So when a juvenile is removed from the home, we start aftercare services immediately, working on getting that child back into the home and getting that home prepared to receive the child following placement. So that is a continuation of services. With them, we've been using them for years. And it's very beneficial, like I said, to be able to work with the parents in the home while the child's removed, but then also reintegrating them back in the community, helping that transition be as smooth as possible so that we don't have to have immediate removal again for any reason.
Devereaux.
Deborah, all we pay for is clothing, personal clothing allowance. I mean, even though it went from $4 to $8, but you still only pay 20% of that. Currently, we have 2 children. We had 3 last year for about 3/4 of the year. We have it down to 2.
It's pretty steep there. What the hell? Tougher on negotiating. White Deer Run.
White Deer Run is Cove Prep. That is a sex offender treatment facility that we just started using last year because of the needs arose. We've had increased charges from the sexual nature, sex offenses. This is a secure program. We actually have 2 juveniles there at this time. One will probably be a long-term placement. So we are in much need of their services in this assisted treatment facility.
And data sharing. We're sharing data with the Commonwealth. We've done this one a couple of years prior. It's just basically allows the Commonwealth access to our data from CYS for their own internal planning purposes, but we have to do the agreement because the data is technically ours until we send it over. So that might have been a bad thing last year.
Yeah, I know.
John dropped it off.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Okay, he's off.
John filled it.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve 273 through 278.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you keeping that.
Thank you.
All right, 279, we have the folks from the jail here with us today to extend our RSAT program until March 30th of 2023. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. What do we have going on?
Okay, so we're just looking to extend the RSAT program, which provides individual and group treatment for substance abuse offenders.
Questions, comments?
No.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve 280.
So.
279.
Okay, sorry.
279.
Okay, and just for record keeping, Lisa Zarella from the jail, we had our visitor a couple of weeks ago that suggested that we should acknowledge who is stepping up to the microphone, so I just wanted to make that attempt to do that. I said we would try to do it, so this is actually, you pretty much run the program, and it's something that you've done for how many years now?
3 years.
3 years, okay. And it's good that it continues to get a continuation because it is a vital service from the jail. Thank you.
Was the JP, was her name Lisa?
Lisa as well.
Okay,
Yes.
that's where that's what I thought your name was, but I was like, there's no way they're both Lisa. And that's why I was
Yes.
trying to skirt around the name. Anyway, you got
That's
it?
it.
Motion?
That was it. It's more, Dan maybe had something.
Oh, you got something?
I'll do my second and then ask a quick question.
Okay, make the motion.
Second.
Okay.
And may I direct it to Commissioner Spielvogel?
Sure.
In your capacity as chair of the prison board, I realize this is just a simple technical
Right.
procedure that we have to
Right.
go through, but was this ever,
We did-
was
we
the
did
prison
not
board
go
ever made
before,
aware that
no.
this was going to be
No.
happening?
I think sometimes what happens is it's just because it's continuation,
Right,
it's the contract that we have to sign,
right,
that we just send it through. But
okay.
we
And
can do it today, and then at our prison board meeting, we can certainly bring it up. That
Make sure
it was,
the other 4 know about it.
yes,
Okay.
I don't think anyone would be against it,
No,
but
I wouldn't think so.
those are sometimes things that slip through the cracks, so.
So I couldn't
You're
remember.
correct. Yes,
With my bad
Yes.
memory, I thought, well, maybe you did talk about it, but it's no problem. I mean, as you probably know, the Board of Commissioners has the authority that are into contracts, which is why it has to go through this process. But if we're gonna let the other 4 members
we will
know
do that,
next
Yes.
meeting, works for me,
Yes.
so I'll reiterate my second.
My motion is second, any further discussion? Hearing none, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, 280, this is a resolution, relating to our potential paving project, that's resealing the parking lots. I'm actually gonna recommend that we deny the bid and take these out next year. The bids came in a lot higher than what we had originally anticipated. I think our original quote was like $18,000, which in terms of the capital budget, we'd be straining our unallocated portion of the capital budget to accomplish this. And on top of that, Frank McCary brought up a good point. I was talking with him this morning. We have all those lights coming in next week in terms of installation. If we get truck traffic and a lot of stuff on the sealant right after it's sealed, it might not be so
Well,
great.
that won't be the first thing that we've done inside out with that.
No, in fact,
I don't want to make light of it, but
yeah, but
I have a concern with, doing this, and now that just sort of brings it to light that, well, maybe we do need to wait, because I know when we put the turf down, then some of it had to be lifted because we did sidewalk. Dan, I'll defer to you. I mean, if we put something out as the senior person, if we put something out, is it okay that we just, we could go.
We have the right to either postpone or reject
Okay,
a bid. And was your thought to postpone it for the time being?
My
or did
thought
you
was,
wanna just
I want to
reject
reject it. Gas prices are falling, which means the cost of sealing's gonna fall. Which in turn means I think if we loop back around maybe in spring of next year, we might, number one, we might be able to get better cost on it.
Yeah.
Again, our original estimate was for like 18,000. And then number two, again, I have some concerns relating to timings to continue work on the courtyard.
Wasn't a portion of this gonna be paid for through MHDS?
That's correct.
But only a portion?
Yes.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
yeah, that works. Which is, again, we've done everything inside out with that
With everything,
project,
with
so.
everything.
On a somewhat related note, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we've probably all gotten questions about what's going on over on the triangular piece of property.
Yes.
Would you mind illustrating what we're doing?
Yeah, so what we're doing there, and the cost for that was under the bid threshold, so we just had GP handle it. We're digging up the retaining wall there. The retaining wall's falling
Falling
down.
down.
And it'll just, the retaining wall's gonna be removed, and instead of putting another retaining wall in, it'll be flattened out.
We're gonna grade it.
Right, I don't believe by the time it'll be done, there'll be a sidewalk on that side, either, which will be less maintenance on our end. It'll only have the sidewalk abutting the government center. But otherwise, that's what we're doing.
Not to split hairs, but when you say sidewalk, you mean the sidewalk on County Line Street would go away, but the sidewalk on East Washington Street would stay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And am I also correct in that the cost is being handled through the safety grant that we received from either P Corp or P Comp? So the cost is not a general fund cost.
Yes.
It's a safety grant cost. So, because I've had some people call and say, well, what are you building? No, we're not building anything.
There was old foundations there back, right, a long time ago when there were still houses on that block. I think Andrew Henley actually posted a nice thing. I don't know if you saw it on the Historical Society Facebook page the other day relating to the history of that lot and some of the different structures that used to be on it, as well as the ownership of the structure. I can't believe you can pull that data. It's actually kind of incredible. So they had to dig up some footers there that just been left.
Right.
From 1920s, 1930s, whenever that parcel was whenever those houses were torn down.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
So this will be 280, and I suppose probably the most appropriate thing to do here. This is awarding and authorizing. I suppose just to reject is to make a motion to approve it and then vote no.
Okay.
So I'll take a motion to approve 280.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
No.
Commissioner Vogler?
No.
Commissioner Boyd?
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you. We'll worry about that next year. Thankfully, it's not a pressing issue. This is another one that I'm going to recommend we deny the bid on. The pricing, it was, first of all, it was a phenomenal proposal. I've never seen so thorough of a document.
Probably more than what we were asking for or thought we were going to get.
A little bit more than what we had
Yes.
anticipated. What we're gonna do here, because I still do think it's important to onboard a broadband consultant, we're gonna go back to the drawing board in terms of the RFP, trim some things back on it. I'm gonna get with Michael Baker, and talk to them about, what caused their price points to, become that high.
Right,
And potentially have another one out here by the end of the year. But I will say that as it currently stands, we can't afford to pay roughly $2 million out of ARPA to do a comprehensive
So
broadband.
you're proposing a re-advertising eventually. I had a firm contact me after we
right.
opened the bid and indicate a desire to, I said, well, we gotta take action on this first. So there is some other interest, I can tell you that. But I would concur with what you're
Absolutely.
suggesting.
So I will say, again, I've never seen a more thorough bid proposal. I'm glad they did a phenomenal job on that bid proposal. So, and like I said, I'll touch back with Jeremy, Amy, and I'll get together. We'll come up with something to rebid here before the end of the year.
Speaking of broadband, and I may have mentioned this to you, but I don't think I had the chance to tell you. You may have seen on our calendar that there have been a couple meetings of a CCAP broadband task force that's being chaired by Commissioner Dave Glass out of Clearfield County. He's doing a really nice job. I'm on that committee, but kind of ex officio. And I wanted to clarify if you've wondered, well, what's Dan doing on this committee? They have asked the 7 CCAP district representatives who serve on the board to more or less sit in on the meetings, because eventually they're going to ask each of the 7 of us to possibly send correspondence out to the other counties within our district to assemble information that'll go back to them. So I think I told you, maybe I didn't, but I know I didn't tell you. So I wanted to let you know what that's all about.
Yeah.
So, and again, Commissioner Glass, he's had 2 meetings so far, and he's done a really nice, and there are a lot of non-commissioners on this committee. There are some planning people, some GIS people, some IT people from various counties around the Commonwealth. Yeah, it's a good group. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you for serving on it. 281, and again, we'll do a motion and then vote it down. And go from there. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
No.
Commissioner Vogler?
No.
Commissioner Boyd?
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you. 282, this also deals with American Rescue Plan funding. At the League of Municipalities meeting last week, a representative from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources indicated that the state was deploying a combination of American Rescue Plan Act funding and state discretionary funding for a fall round of effectively it's I don't even know what the plan program is called. But it's conservation and trails and riverways and
Right.
of that specific. It's signature grant program. And so as a component of that, municipalities which have, I want to say, under 5,000
Yes.
population, the local match is only 20%. For municipalities with populations of over 5,000, the local match is 50%, which is generally we've used it in planning for Quaker Falls and West Park and Savage and some other
Yes.
areas, but it's generally 50% in its normal program. The Board of Commissioners, in the county's comprehensive plan, we note that guiding principles of Lawrence County's development operations include, number 1, providing greenways and blueways to encourage healthy living and alternative modes of transportation. 2, to provide public recreation areas throughout the county that serve all segments of the population. 3, to protect and enhance our natural resources. And 4, to promote healthy living. There are a number of our municipalities out there, as well as a number of nonprofits and the Lawrence County Conservation District, which are all eligible for this, that have potential projects that they wish to run as it relates to improving parks, public trails, and other areas the public has access to for recreational entertainment. And so to that end, we're creating 2022 Lawrence County Recreational Improvement Grant Match Program, appropriating at least initially $350,000 to not provide to the municipalities as a direct grant, but to give them as a grant match commitment to allow them to go after the state funding. And so what we're doing here, and I have a just basic program document that Amy and I pulled together, that we'll be sending out to the municipalities. What we'll do is selected applicants will receive $25,000 or 50% of the total local match requirement, whichever is less, and a grant match commitment for fall 2022 round of the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, ARPA Recreation and Conservation Grants Program. Upon selection, Lawrence County Board of Commissioners will provide the applicant with a formal letter indicating the amount of matching commitment provided by the County of Lawrence to the applicant for submission of the applicant's final grant request to DCNR. And county level match funding will be reimbursed to awardees as expenses are incurred relating to project implementation. So they will only receive county money if they get the DCNR grant, but we're prepared to match 50% of the local matching requirement or $25,000, whichever is less through our American Rescue Plan funding. I'll note that this also applies to all Lawrence County municipalities, nonprofits which have an interest in utilizing the state grant stream, as well as the Lawrence County Conservation District. The only other thing I'll note is municipalities, due to funding limitations, it's noted in the grant docs, will have priority. If we get 100, we're not going to, but if we get 100, requests in, our municipalities will take priority in the allocation of these dollars. Grant turnaround time, their grant match turnaround time is going to be relatively expeditious. The reason for that is that the state grant has a fast turnaround time. By the end of October, all municipalities and all applicants must submit their materials. And so to that end, we've also created an expedited process to apply for this. So that way they, normally we require resolutions under this. Because of the quick turnaround time, we're only going to require signatures from the council president of the borough, the mayor and council president of a third-class city, chairman of the township board of supervisors, CEO or executive director of a not-for-profit organization, or the executive director of the conservation district. That will suffice in terms of certification of application from the municipality. This will be, due date for our side is October 14th, 2022 at 4 p.m. to get those back to our planning office, which is basically a month from today. That'll allow us to award these at the next commissioners meeting, and then allow in turn the municipalities to submit their applications to DCNR for consideration by the department. And the other thing I'll add here before turning it over for any comments from my colleagues is this is taking the ARPA funding that we were allocated through the state and leveraging it to allow our community to take in more money than otherwise just through a direct spend of that ARPA allocation. So, for example, let's say that a municipality wants to apply, wants to do $100,000 project, it's Bessemer, which has a population of under 5,000. The total match would be 20,000. Lawrence County would provide 10,000, but as a result of that, Bessemer chips in 10,000, and then we're able to go out and get $80,000 from the Commonwealth. So we're really leveraging the dollars that we have to provide maximum impact to our communities. Comments, questions from the board?
I just had a conversation about this last night with someone from a smaller municipality, and used almost those exact numbers for the sake of making it the easy math. And they're like, really, for $10,000 we could get $100,000? Yeah, pretty much. Easy application. I wasn't, didn't have the but right, it's like, absolutely, it can be done. And I don't know how much further to, just briefly looking through this, the process, that it's been streamlined, that really I think a municipality making a phone call maybe to our office or to planning, to Amy, we're interested in doing this, what is it going to take, put this together, and I think it can be done. And I think from our meeting, the League of Municipalities, I think that our friends are more than willing to work with us to get those applications through. and get as much as we can get awarded from Woods County.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's a great proposal, and I'm hopeful that our municipal officials will
Yes.
take advantage of this opportunity that's being given to them. Thank you both.
Absolutely, thank you. $36 million in total money available from the state.
Right,
Let's go chase it.
absolutely.
On that note, I will take a motion to approve 2022-282.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler, I'm sorry, Commissioner Steelvogel,
Yes.
ladies first.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you, and we'll have Andy or Becky make sure that this gets sent out expeditiously to all of the municipalities. 283, we do this every year. This might be the first time we pass it through a commissioners meeting. Vanessa caught it. It's technically a contract and thus has to be passed through. Again, this is the first year that we've done it, but we do this every year. This relates to allowing the Rashini Group, located in Indiana, Pennsylvania, they're our healthcare consultants, to prepare required forms as it relates to the Affordable Care Act, which we have to submit to employees. I want to say we also have to submit to the federal guys, this one,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
by I want to say the end of September. So they've already started on this. We have the money in the budget for it. We have it every year for it. This just allows the Rashini Group to do that paperwork for us. Takes a huge workload off HR.
Absolutely.
So unless there's any questions or comments, I'll take a motion to approve 283.
So moved.
Second, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. 284, this relates, and I'll note that we had an informational meeting with the chief assessor yesterday specifically relating to this. A resolution to settle as it relates to a property tax appeal. And I'll note that the appeal was actually initiated through, JR said Wampum filed the appeal. It's not property owners.
Yeah, he did, unless he's, well, I thought he said that Wampum Borough was a party to the appeal, but maybe there's some confusion here because you do have, as you said, Wampum Properties is the actual property owner.
Mhm.
And most of this property sits within the borough of Wampum, although as he pointed out, some of it sits in New Beaver Borough. But I don't know, do you want to wait and get that clarified?
I don't know if we have the ability to wait. It sounded like it needed to get done. We can always amend a resolution.
That's true. He did seem to, that's why he wanted to meet with us
Right,
yesterday,
right.
so we could,
To get it done.
okay, I'm fine. And then if we have to
I'll tell you what,
tweak anything,
I'll tell you what too, the whereases are just the intent, whereas now be it resolved is the actual resolution. And so it's just a compromise settlement shown above. So even if the Wampum property owner, that should be Wampum Borough as opposed to Wampum property owners, I think the
Right.
resolution will still stand.
right?
But we're actually settling for a higher amount. This is the first time I've ever seen this happen. A higher amount than what was originally assessed on that property.
And he noted that, again, part of, this is the underground mines down off of Old Route 18. And part of this property is in Wampum Borough, part of it's in New Beaver Borough. They, of course, are impacted by this, as is the Mohawk Area School District. But we made note of the fact that that section of Wampum Borough is part of the Mohawk School District, not the Elwood City School District, which most of Wampum Borough is part of. There's a boundary down there that many years ago, an agreement was made that the Mohawk School District would have jurisdiction over that particular area. In fact, there are some students who live in Wampum Borough who actually attend Mohawk High School, whereas most of them go to Elwood, but anyhow. No, I agree with what you're suggesting. If we find there's an issue, we can always come back to it.
Do the clerical side.
Yeah,
All right, I'll take a motion to approve 284.
So moved.
second,
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
285. This relates to our election integrity grant that we received about maybe, I don't even think it was a month ago. I think it might have been a couple weeks ago.
All right.
But this is just amending our 2022 Lawrence County budget to accommodate that increase in funds, as well as appropriate that grant to different areas of the operation to allow us to offset the costs of the 2022 general election. Questions, comments on that?
No.
I want to thank Mr. Germain. He had some documents to fill out in order for us to be eligible to receive this grant.
Yes.
You did that, and we got the money, so.
Yeah.
thank
A
you for
rather
that.
quick turnaround on those as
Yes, it
well.
was.
And Debbie, it's spelled out on this document.
Take a motion to approve.
So moved.
285.
Thank you. Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, we have some additional monies coming into our pre-disaster mitigation grant line item, so we're increasing the revenue and the associated expense account. The reason, Lawrence County Mitigation Plan Update Professional Services, 80% was, our reimbursement was received for transient exercise held in October and will be used for our mitigation plan update professional services. Chad, you anything to add?
No, this, we use hazardous materials emergency planning grant to get 80% of an exercise we did last year that benefit all the fire, EMS people, actually police in the county. We pay 20% of that, so we have to pay for it completely upfront. The state reimburses us. So this 4720 is a reimbursement from the state with put back towards our hazard mitigation plan maintenance, which kind of speeds up the whole process if we get it done every year rather than every 5 years have the entire thing done. So that's just going back to maintain our hazard mitigation plan, which we need to qualify for any benefits that would come from the federal government if there was a disaster. It also helps with pre-disaster planning, taking care of back drainage, flooding problems, pretty much everything. So that's all it is. We usually for an exercise, we put that back in.
Questions, comments?
Just, can't say enough about what good professional department heads we have, and you both have
Absolutely.
just in the last 5 minutes proven that. So thank you both.
Yes.
This is the business side, this is the not so fun side.
Right.
And you guys are-
But it gets done as well, Thank you.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve 286.
So moved.
Second. Any motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 287, treasurer approached me last week regarding some additional dollars that he needs to get our 2023 tax bills prepped, ready, and sent out. So we're transferring $9,000 from our contingency over to his contingency, and then he'll appropriate that as needed. He broke it down pretty well. And Rich is, I'll say, he's one of the guys that he's anal enough that when he comes and says he needs money, I tend to believe him. So,
He
280,
did send a very detailed email
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
287, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This is 288. And this is just liquid fuels. It's not coming out of general fund. We're moving some money from liquid fuels contingency to liquid fuels bridge maintenance for some unanticipated expenses. Take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're moving some money here from administration, some juror money into stenographer supplies to cover some transcript covers. Moving some money from commissioner's contingency to commissioner's advertising to cover some year-end advertising expenses. And moving some money from personnel's contingency account, $500 to materials and supplies for a over-ear headset. Questions on any of those?
No.
Take a motion to approve A through C of the admin transfers.
So moved.
Second, it took me a minute to decipher an over-ear headset. That's what you can wear, kind of a portable, you can walk around your office and converse on a phone, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. You know how slow I am about technology.
It took me a minute as well, Dan. I might have caught it a little sooner than you did, but it took me a minute.
Yesterday we were talking, and he said he received a text from somebody. And I fell backwards in my chair.
This new phone, I
Right,
do receive texts, yes.
right.
I haven't figured out how to answer. Usually how I answer them is I call the person, and say, hey, I got your
Not
text.
surprised, yeah.
So I'm halfway there.
We're gonna push
You
off
are.
group messages now.
You are.
On what? Group messages? No, don't
Oh,
overwhelm me.
I don't think
Please.
so. No, let's not do that. Not for a while. Let's not do that.
Baby steps.
Yes, yes.
That's right.
All right, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any further discussion here? We've already done that, but any further discussion here? Not question the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Hold off on that. No ordinances. Commissioners meeting Tuesday, September 20th in this meeting room. Prison board meeting September 21st in this meeting room. Planning tomorrow. I think it's in planning room.
Washington.
Washington.
I was close. Anything's going on the agenda?
Apparently there's a proposal for a Taco Bell in Union Township.
Yes.
Is that what tomorrow is?
And there's one other item, but I can't remember what it is.
Shenango, something Shenango.
Oh, okay.
And do we know what the food's gonna be?
No, I have no idea.
That dictates whether I go to. All right, on that, any additional public comments?
Can I ask a few questions? Yeah. Okay. First of all, I was surprised to see the triangle digging going on too.
Mhm.
So how much is that project and how do you pick contractors for those things that are under budget, under bid amounts?
Honestly, did we get quotes for that, or did we just get Gary to?
I think we just got there.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have to check the fact, it's kind of.
How do you pick somebody though?
If it's under the bid threshold, I mean, that's the reason it's under the bid threshold, just because it gets it done expeditiously. I mean, that's why the bid
Well,
threshold's
what's the
there.
cost of the project
It's not much, it's like, what was it, like 15?
Yeah, ballpark.
and when was that voted on?
It doesn't need to be voted on.
It's an expenditure, right?
Well, the way we vote on those is the warrant registers. But according to the county code, all it takes to authorize an expenditure is 2 commissioners to sign off on a purchase order that's written into the law.
Another question about the recreational improvement grant
Yes.
program. When municipalities submit their proposals, are those gonna be made public?
When we go to accept them, they will, or deny them, they will. But
Forgive me, but they'll have to, if it's a municipality, I'm assuming they'll have to discuss it at one of their public meetings.
Right, but we're not at every public meeting, so that's why I was wondering if they're gonna be announced here like we did with the businesses.
yeah, the ones that are approved will all be announced here, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Pardon my interruption. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, I said,
That's okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt Morgan.
But
Yeah, for the federal money, we make sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed in terms of, voting on everything, so. All right, any additional questions, Deb? That wasn't related to you, that was just a message I got on my phone.
that's it.
All
Debbie,
right.
I have my packet if you'd like it, and I'll give you this magazine. And this is yours. It has your name on it here, signed, but yeah, it's all yours. Well, you might want to, okay.
I can always
I
get
don't know what all's in it, so, but I saw your name somewhere. Yeah, right there.
There you go,
Yeah.
Morgan. Any additional comments from members of the board or
No.
anybody else in the room? Lawrence County Board of Commissioners adjourned.
You got it. Somebody's got to turn this on. Are you feeling any better?